It's been more than 15 years since the federal government started certifying food as organic. But how the U.S. Department of Agriculture defines organic is not always so simple, especially for a staple of the American diet, eggs. The treatment of the chickens that lay those eggs is at the center of a battle between farmers, some of whom are saying that not all organic eggs are created equally. NewsHour Weekend's Megan Thompson reports.
Will Harris's family has been farming this land in southwestern Georgia for 5 generations.
You hear that noise? It's a very soothing noise to me.
Here at White Oak Pastures, Harris raises 10 kinds of animals, including about 4,000 egg-laying chickens that graze outdoors. The eggs are laid in mobile hen houses, then picked up by hand, cleaned, and checked for impurities using a high-powered light. They are sold as pasture-raised and organic, directly to consumers and to food service companies. At more than $5 a dozen at White Oak's farm store, Harris says it's a premium product.
We're not talking about feeding the world like this. The world wants cheap food. You got some people that want a Mercedes and some people that want a Hyundai. And there's no good and bad, it's just what you want.
The egg operation at White Oak Pastures is what many people imagine when they think of organic eggs. Uncaged hens pecking and scratching in an outdoor field, eating feed grown without pesticides. Now have a look at Bob Beauregard's hens.
These birds have 1.5 square feet per bird in all our production facilities. That's how we set a standard at that.
Beauregard is the general manager for an egg farm in central Massachusetts with about 80,000 chickens. It's called the Country Hen, and its eggs, too, are deemed organic.
The birds are beautiful. They're singing, they're happy.
To be certified as an organic egg by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, or USDA, the chickens need to be cage-free, fed an organic diet grown without pesticides, managed without antibiotics and hormones, and have seasonal access to the outdoors. The Country Hen checks all those boxes. But instead of letting its birds roam on pasture, the Country Hen provides outdoor access for its birds on covered porches, though it was too cold on the day we visited for any chickens to be outside.
It's worked very well. We've been very transparent about our production methods. Right on our box, it says sunlit barns and porches.
The company was originally denied organic certification when the organic rules were first implemented in 2002. The porch was not deemed outdoor space by the USDA. But after an appeal, the Country Hen was told that the porch did comply. And that one decision about one small farm had big repercussions in the industry.
We never had the intention to create any kind of a loophole, or we were talking about our farm individually and what worked best for here.
I think USDA at the time took pity on their situation, and nobody ever imagined what would happen with the scale.
Jesse LaFlamme is the co-owner and chief executive farmer of Pete and Jerry's in nearby New Hampshire. It's one of the biggest organic egg producers in the country. He says once big factory-style farms like this one in Michigan started building porches for their hens, the market became flooded with eggs labeled organic that most consumers would consider far from that.
Some enterprising, very large egg producers saw an opportunity to bend the rules, if you will, or take advantage of unclear rules, ambiguous rules, and build to scale.
Pete and Jerry's raises its own hens, but also partners with 120 smaller farms. In its advanced processing facility, it washes, packs, and ships 1.3 million eggs a day. While it was also too cold on the day we visited, all Pete and Jerry's hens can spend time outdoors on soil when the weather allows. And that's important to people who buy organic eggs. A 2017 Consumer Reports survey found 83% think it's highly important that organic eggs come from hens that were able to go outdoors. And that, says LaFlamme, means birds roaming on soil, not confined to porches.
This is just so misaligned with what consumers expect of organic. It's going to damage the organic seal. And not just in the egg category. I'm talking about all types of organic products. This is a fundamental issue of consumer expectation of organic and trust.
After 10 years of lobbying by Pete and Jerry's and other organic companies, public hearings, and a recommendation from an expert panel, The USDA proposed an update to the Organic Livestock and Poultry Practices Rule in April 2016. It included a requirement that organic chickens have contact with actual soil, not simply outdoor porches. The USDA said the rules would better satisfy consumer expectations that organic livestock meet a uniform and verifiable animal welfare standard. In response to the proposed rule requiring outdoor access, there were nearly 7,000 comments submitted to the USDA, including from 3 of the largest egg producers in the country, Cal-Maine, Roseacre Farms, and Herbrick Poultry. All 3 declined PBS NewsHour Weekend's interview requests, but they wrote in a joint comment to the USDA that the proposed rules are a thinly veiled attempt to promote small farms and exclude larger farms, and conflict with scientifically proven animal welfare practices.
My name is John Glisson.
Dr. John Glisson is the Vice President of Research for the U.S. Poultry and Egg Association, a trade group representing the poultry industry. He spent 30 years studying poultry diseases as a professor of veterinary medicine at the University of Georgia. And he opposes the rule requiring outdoor access because he says it puts chickens at risk of contracting diseases.
Our industry knows that's disastrous. We can't do that. It goes against everything we've learned for the last 70 years.
We spoke with Glisson in Atlanta at the largest poultry trade show in the world. He says the scale of the industry, which produces more than 92 billion eggs a year, has been made possible because of advancements in biosecurity, protecting chickens from pathogens like salmonella, which is spread by rodents, and diseases like avian influenza, which is spread by wild birds.
One of the main principles is we have to completely separate domestic poultry from wild birds. We're not against organic, but organic has to be done according to the scientific principles of biosecurity and food safety, or else we're going backwards.
While Glisson acknowledges that consumers might want eggs from a chicken that is raised with outdoor access, he says there's not a scientific basis for it.
It's perception-based. There's a market for saying that birds were outdoors. There's a profitable market for that. It doesn't help the birds.
Jesse LaFlamme insists the complaint by Dr. Glisson and other egg producers that outdoor access for egg-laying hens will lead to outbreaks of diseases like avian flu is not supported by recent events. In 2014 and 2015, an avian flu outbreak affected more than 50 million chickens, turkeys, and ducks. But the USDA acknowledged that fewer than 9,000 of those birds were kept outdoors.
The question is, what percentage of those birds were outside? Basically none. So the question is, where in reality is the risk?
The debate over the proposed USDA rule requiring outdoor access for organic egg-laying chickens appeared to be settled in January 2017 when the rule was finalized. And then there was a political change.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
Under the new administration, the USDA withdrew the rule, determining that it didn't have the authority under existing law to mandate animal welfare conditions.
They tossed it around.
Greg Ibaugh is an undersecretary at the USDA overseeing the organic program. He says if the rule had been implemented, it would have raised the price of organic eggs and changed a program that he says is working well.
Consumers have really given the organic program an extreme vote of confidence over the years. We've seen the growth in organic purchases and organic sales grow consistently across all areas of the organic industry. If we keep moving the goalposts, neither consumers nor farmers will understand what USDA regulates to.
But organic producers like Jesse LaFlamme aren't giving up yet on updating the rules as to what makes an egg organic.
We didn't anticipate that they would really kind of stoop this low and pull the rule altogether, and in response, OTA would have to sue.
The Organic Trade Association, or OTA, a group representing organic farmers and companies including Pete and Jerry's, sued the USDA, arguing that the withdrawal violated the process in place for rulemaking. Back in Georgia, Will Harris says his farming practices are driven by what customers want, not USDA rules.
For me, it's not all about the USDA certification. We go way beyond that. The more consumers that demand food to be raised with higher animal welfare, more sustainable farm practices, the more of us will respond to that and do it.
Being completely transparent with your customers is really what's most important.
The country hen in Massachusetts is also moving beyond the USDA's standard. It's decided that it's going to change the way it produces eggs, even though the USDA rule has been withdrawn. It's expanding its operations and building new facilities without porches that allow hens outdoors on soil.
I do believe that the standards need to be more consistent. That's what I believe. So we're going to transition our way right into that. So at the end of the day, we will comply with the rule, whether it gets written into the register or not.
Though he acknowledges that there's a risk in letting his birds outside, he says it's what people want.
They have so many choices at the shelf. So our mind needs to be changed based on what our consumers are looking for.